Hey, and welcome back to another episode of The Chef's Table. This is a weekly video series where I teach you how to charge premium prices in your food business. So if it's your first time here, welcome. I'm Chef Evelyn, and I am a culinary brand strategist that specializes in helping my clients make more money by charging premium prices. And the way I help them charge premium prices is by teaching them how to build a high-end culinary brand. Now, in today's episode, what I want to talk about is how to attract high-paying clients to your culinary business, because this is one of the most frequently asked questions I get, whether it's sometimes in my DMs or you know, when I do my live streams, or even with my own clients. One of the biggest, most frequently asked question is, well, but how do I find the people who are willing to pay these higher prices, right? And so I want to get into that. I'm going to kind of get into the three things around that, right? So listen, if you see me looking down, right, which I tend to do if you're new here, it's because I make notes for these videos because I want to make sure that I'm giving you quality information to help you grow and expand your chef business, okay? So here's the thing when it comes to attracting clients who pay, you know, higher prices, or who are willing to pay more money. You know, I remember before I really got deep into my business, before I was really like personal chefing, and I did catering for a while, teaching cooking classes, all of that. Before I really dove into that, I was working, or I was having a business, if you will, with a direct sales company, and I was doing like home shows. So I'm like aging myself a little bit here, right? But I was doing home shows with a food wares company, like a kitchen wares company. And I remember being in those events and being able to sell like $1,000 or more worth of merchandise, right? And that was the first time that I kind of realized, like, I have the ability to extract this kind of income out of a room, right? Or I remember, you know, working for other food companies and, you know, teaching cooking classes and running a cooking school. And I remember seeing how much they were charging for their cooking classes and how much they were bringing in one night. And I remember thinking, like, I'm running this and it's going well. Let me figure out what I'm doing. And so I remember I started to do this process, like at every job that I was at, that I figured out how to charge more and then draw clients to that, right? And so what I want to share with you today is how to like distill it down and answer the question, how do I find where are the high paying clients? And so let me just dispel a couple of myths before I get into my tips today. Is number one, that high paying clients are everywhere. And I think one of the biggest things that I had to unlearn was that high-paying clients only looked a certain way. And when I say looked a certain way, I'm not talking about physically, but like that they were just one group of people, and there was this one secret group of people who would spend high-end dollars. And if I could only just find that group of people and where they were hiding and get into their world, then I'd be able to charge premium prices. When the truth of the matter is, the reality is that they're everywhere. They abound. You know, they may live down the street. They may live next door. So, you know, they may be at your kids' drop-off line. They may, you know, you may work with them if you're still in the corporate, right? Things like that the clients, your potential clients that will pay premium prices are everywhere. You just have to know how to attract them, right? You have to know how to speak the language that will draw them to you, okay? So the other thing is that, you know, they're hiding in plain sight. Like, I don't want you to have this belief that there's like this secret underground of people who will pay for premium prices, and that, you know, you've got to crack the code to figure out where they are and what they need to do. So I'm going to share with you the three things that I believe that you need to do in your chef business to be able to attract higher paying clients to your business, okay? And the first thing is you need to get really clear and specific about what you do and who you do it for. It's something I call your culinary point of view, and in my masterclass, how to charge premium prices in your food business, I talk about kind of like, I go in a little bit more detail about what your culinary point of view is, what's involved in it. But basically, it's what makes you a specialist, right? If you think about it, like, a brain surgeon doesn't have to go, where do I find people who need brain surgery? I mean, this is probably not the best example because I don't want to say that a brain surgeon is marketing, but listen, they have a skill that people need, right? And so people who do brain surgery, they find brain surgeons, right? Or if it's like, if you want to buy a luxury car, right? The luxury dealerships and the luxury car brands know where to position themselves, know that they specialize in luxury. They're like, we do luxury. They're unapologetic about it. They're very specific on, do they do sports car luxury? Do they do sedan luxury? Do they do family luxury? Do they do luxury that's safe for kids? Like they let you know, like, this is what we do, right? And so when it comes to your food business, your chef business, like once you get really clear and specific about what you do, it becomes a lot easier, okay, for those clients to find you, right? Because high-end clients like people who are experts, who are specialists, not generalists. There's a reason why a brain surgeon makes more than your primary care physician, right? That same concept, even though those are two completely different fields, applies in your chef business. So one of the things I talk about in the High-End Culinary Brand Masterclass is really understanding how important being a specialist is, right? And what that looks like. And one of the things that I do is I go through several examples, whether in the food industry and outside of the food industry, to demonstrate why being a specialist, just that in itself, puts you leaps and bounds ahead of the next chef or the next, culinary business to attract high paying clients, right? So once you get really clear about what you're doing and who you're doing it for, it becomes a lot easier. One of my favorite things, like one of my pastimes, one of my hobbies is I love luxury makeup. I love it. I just love it, right? They know how to find me. I know how to find them. As a matter of fact, I go seeking them out, right? Because I know who I'm looking for, right? But they also have positioned themselves as we do luxury beauty, right? And then there's some nuances on why, this brand does this and this brand specializes in that, right? So they're very clear on what they do and who they do it for, right? And it's very specialized, okay? So that's the first point, getting really, really clear on what you do in your food business and who you do it for is the key. Okay. The second thing is that you have to create a high-end brand experience. One of the biggest misconceptions that I see is that people sometimes have the impression that you can just charge premium prices because you just want to charge your worth. Yes. And also you have the experience of working with you has to be worth that premium price tag, okay? So, I have what I call a dinner party framework that has like 7 phases to build a high-end culinary brand that draws in high-end clients and gives you that high-end brand experience that makes charging premium prices a breeze, right? And one of the things that I see people do is they just want to increase their prices because they saw somebody else who they thought was offering a similar product or service increase their prices, and they're like, well, my food is better than theirs or my product is better than theirs, surely I can increase my prices. And it's like, the quality of what you do is important, but it's not the only thing, right? So I see people thinking that, oh, if I just buy more expensive ingredients, if I just make the portion sizes bigger or what have you, that alone will allow you to charge, higher prices. And unfortunately, that's just not the case, right? Like, I think about it like this. Like I said, I've been enjoying luxury beauty. There's a reason why I will pay $35 and $40 for a lipstick versus $4.99 for a lipstick, when at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to tell, like, once they look at my face, whether or not I have on the $4.99 lipstick or the $45 lipstick. But there is a reason why I'm choosing to spend 10 times the price, right, to have that. It's because of the experience that I'm having with that brand or with that product, etc., right? So, you know, I think about when I used to work in corporate America and we used to have our annual performance reviews. One of the things that I found very interesting when I first graduated from college was that there was two sides to the performance reviews. And if you've worked in corporate at all, you know, like if you're a career changer like I am, then you can relate to this, that there is your performance side, right? Like the actual work that you do, right? So whether that's your numbers or your sales or safety numbers or audit numbers or whatever the case may be, there's the technical side of what you do. And if we were to relate that to our food business, that's the quality of the food that you cook. Like, you know, was your fish overcooked, right? Like, you know, was the steak medium? Okay. Like, you know, did your sauce break? Like, you know, what is the quality of your food? But on the other side of that performance review, well, it was something called the people side, right? And it was about how you worked, you know, with your coworkers, you know, kind of like what was, you know, kind of the reputation about you, you know, how did you build relationship and influence others even if you weren't in charge? It was all of these very intangible things that went into the other side of this equation, right? And so that's the same thing when I talk about experience, that yes, the quality of your service needs to be there. So whether you're doing personal chefing or dinner parties or cooking classes or food blogging or, you know, cookbook, whatever you're doing, hosting events, whatever you're doing, right? Yes, you need to be technically good at what you do, but that is only a portion. And dare I say, not the most important portion of how to attract higher paying clients to your business, but the experience overall of your brand, which I believe has there's 7 different facets of that. And I walk through those in detail in my High-End Culinary Brand Masterclass. I walk through, it's called my Dinner Party Framework. I walk through that 7-part Dinner Party Framework so that you can see like where you are in the process. Do you have these 7 things in place that make charging premium prices easier, and that also will draw higher paying clients to you like a magnet, right? So I think about some of my clients, and every time we kind of get into like the question comes up like, okay, you know, you're telling me to raise my prices or you're telling me to do this, like they're always like, well, how do I justify this? How do I find these people? And I always laugh and I joke and go, you found me? And they go, I did. And I was like, right. You found me. I didn't find you. You found me. And they're like, that's so true. And I was like, right, because that same process is what I'm using, right? Is what I teach my clients. And so the key to drawing, you know, higher end clientele is you have to be a specialist. High end clients, I won't say as a monolith, right? Because like I said, they're everywhere. They're all different facets of life and professions and preferences and things like that. But one of the commonalities in people who are willing to pay higher prices for goods and services is that they love a specialist, right? And that's someone who's very specific. The second thing is that you have to create this high-end brand experience, because anybody can put a steak on a plate, right? And yes, you may not be buying your steak you know, from the dollar store, right? You may be buying your steak from Whole Foods and maybe Wagyu, but even the difference in cost between I don't even know if the dollar store sells steaks. I'm just talking at this point. But even the difference between the cost of that steak, you know, at the lower end grocery store and then a cut of like Wagyu beef, that difference in price doesn't equate to the difference in a higher end experience, right? And so it's not linear. So it's like, well, what is making up the difference? Like if you're not serving lobster and Wagyu beef and you know, truffles at every single experience, how are people charging more and drawing those high-end clients? Is because of the experience that they create. And then the last thing, or I would say the third thing, because like I said, I think there's 7 parts to the framework, which we don't have time to get into in this video, but if you're interested in it, you can grab the High-End Culinary Brand Masterclass. I'll have the link below in the description box. But the last thing is then you have to go where they are, right? You have to go where they are. You have to know where the people who want what you have to go where they are. If I go back to the example about the brain surgeon is not hanging out at the dermatologist's office. It just doesn't make any sense. They're also not hanging out at the skating rink, right? It would be odd if they were there, right? And so I know you're like, that's a little extreme, Evelyn, but I'm telling you, I see chefs do that all the time with who they engage with and where they choose to market their products and services. And I'm like, that's not where your clientele is. But if you don't know what you do, then it's hard to know who you do it for. And if you don't know who you're doing what you do for, then you won't know where they're at, right? And so, I mean, think about this, right? A farmer who wants to sell their organic produce is probably not going to set up shop outside of a tire repair company, right? And not to say that people who get their tires replaced aren't looking for, you know, farm to table organic produce. It's just that that's not where a critical mass of those people are. Okay, so once you know that I'm a farmer and I sell, you know, fresh from my farm that's just 30 minutes outside of the city straight to a consumer, the kind of person who's going to value that and pay more for that is probably at the farmer's market, right? That they're probably at the farmer's market. Maybe they're a member of a co-op, right? Like they're at those kind of places. They may not be the person who buys their groceries from Walmart. No shade, right? But do you see the difference? Like, and so, you know, I think sometimes we have made, you know, attracting higher paying clients more complicated than it needed to be or needs to be. And it's really, really simple. Once you get clear on what you do and who you do it for, and then you match that with a high-end brand experience, and then you go where the people who want what you have are, you'll have an endless supply of clients. Okay, so this is what I want to know. I want to know, what questions do you have about attracting higher clients, right? Because here's the thing, sometimes you're putting, you know, you're fishing, you know, aka marketing, and you're drawing people who don't want to pay higher prices, right? And so the question is, what's the bait on the hook? Okay, so I want to know in the comments below, what questions do you have about attracting high-end or higher paying clients to your chef business? Let me know in the comments below. And also, like I said, if you want to know what my dinner party framework is and how to charge premium prices with ease, then I highly recommend that you check out the High-End Culinary Brand Masterclass. If you go to highendculinarybrand.com, you can sign up and enroll in that. It's a 90-minute training where I break down all 7 of those steps. I also break down like some of the biggest mistakes people make when they try to charge premium prices, you know, how to have the confidence to charge premium prices. But most importantly, I think, you know, you really need to see that framework so you can understand what's working and what's probably not working in your business, so you can get on a path to fix it. So anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it so much. I look forward to your questions, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.